And hello, this is the third part of the Modeless Dialog tutorial, and we will continue now. We will create the interaction between the find dialog and the view, so that the search will work. Like we are opening a document and then we are searching something, like let's say HA. So it will find that and mark it like that. So this is what we will be doing soon. But before we do that, there's just one thing I would like to show. This is regarding to the basic interaction between the Modeless Dialog and the view. Because if we go here, and when we delete the Modeless Dialog, it's here. When we are deleting the Modeless Dialog, we need to ask the view actually to delete this object. If I go there, so here we are. So here I'm destroying the Find Dialog object after the Find Dialog window has been destroyed. Then the Find Dialog object will be destroyed after that here. There are two ways to do this. We can call directly a function like here. So it goes straight away from here, it goes immediately to that function and deletes it straight away. But there's another way to do it in Windows programming and in MFC, which is posting a message or sending a message. But normally we want to post a message, because posting puts a Windows message in a queue. Send message will go in front of the queue and do it immediately, just like here. So we kind of prefer posting messages because it lets the Windows to do things in how it thinks that it's best to do. That we are not jumping the queue, kind of. It's not good to jump in queue, is it? So let's start doing this. So we can do post message. So we are sending a kind of Windows message here. We are creating our own message. We can create so-called user message. It will look something like this. WM find DLG and destroyed like that. So we can create our own Windows message like this, which I will do in a moment. So this will be a Windows message posted to the view. So let's go first and create this Windows message. We need to go to the H file, and we can do it, for example, here, like a global variable, constant variable. And we can call it int and w. Well, I just created here, so I'm just gonna copy that. Equals to, and now the starting point for Windows user messages will be WM user. This is defined in the Windows system, that this is where we can safely start sending messages, because if we are sending messages less than this, it might conflict with the Windows other messages. So this, as we can see from the tooltip, it's 0400 as a hexa number. So this is the first number we can use for our own messages. That's why I put +1, so we are on a safe ground now. So let's go here. And the second parameter, we don't need to put anything there. And the third parameter, we can pass the pointer of this dialog. The same what we are doing here. So we are kind of not doing this one now. We are doing this one instead. We are doing the same thing, but we want to pass the pointer of this dialog again using the same logic, that there is a security, that the view is gonna check that who is the sender. That's why I'm gonna send this. But if we look at the parameter number 3, I can show the website. So this is the message we are sending. This is the second parameter, and this is the third parameter. So it's a long, kind of long integer. So this L param is a long integer. This is not a long integer, this is a pointer to an object. So that's why we need to forcefully change it to an integer. And the way to change it forcefully, so kind of forcefully, is reinterpret cast. And this is what we want. Well, we want L param. We want to change this pointer to L param. Now this L param is big enough to handle that pointer. The pointer can be a very big integer because it's one of the addresses in the computer memory. So this L param needs to be a huge integer, which it is. So this is big enough to store the address value. That's why this will work. And now on the view side, we need to now create a message handler for this message, and that's the next thing we're gonna do. So it's gonna go here. It's gonna be one of these kind of things. So to create a user-defined message handler, we can do afx message and then L result, and we can call the message handler whatever we want. I'm gonna call it here on what was the destroy function we had? Okay, it was gonna Windows deleted. So why don't I just call it the same? Just that I will put on because the other ones also, these message handlers, they have on at the front, so I'm not going to use the same logic. So on Windows Find Dialog deleted, and then the parameters needs to be for user defined messages. The parameter list needs to be W parameter. This is an integer. V param, W param. And then the other one is L param, which is a bigger integer. So L param. So this is how we define that function. Now I need to copy that and create the corresponding implementation. Okay. And here, now we need to do the same action as we were doing here, that we need to destroy the dialog object. Well, we are already doing it here, and this is a function, normal function. So best thing to do here is just call this same function, not to copy this code. It's not a good idea to copy things and paste them, but just to reuse the existing function. So we want to reuse this existing function here. So that's why I'm gonna just call this one from here, and we just need to pass now the pointer to the calling dialog, and it was passed. It was the L param where it was passed from the dialog from here. So this is the L param passed from the dialog. So now we need to do again reinterpret cast the other way around. So this time we will do the other way around. So now we need the pointer. So L param changed to a Windows DLC pointer, and this is guaranteed to work because L param is big enough to hold a memory address. So this will all work. Let's quickly test that this one also works. Instead of calling directly that function, we are posting a Windows message. So it doesn't. So when we are posting a message one more time, it doesn't necessarily happen immediately. If Windows has other other messages on a queue, this will go at the end of the Windows message queue, so there might be tiny delay until this will be done. But this is perfectly, totally perfect for us. We don't need to do it immediately, and it's best to put it in a queue. Let's test if it works. So if the dialog is destroyed or disappears, then we did it correctly, and it needs to return a value. So let's just return a 0. Doesn't really matter here what are we returning, because nobody is using that return value at the moment. Okay, and let's test if it works. Opening the dialog, and if I just simply press cancel, and it all works. Actually, it doesn't work yet. Let's see one more time. So if I open this one and press cancel, it goes away, but it doesn't work anymore. And it worked before this post message. And the reason for this one is that it never goes here actually. So it never destroys this object. And the reason why this post message doesn't work at the moment is because I didn't put it into the message map. So it also needs to be put here into the message map, and the way the syntax for owner user defined messages is on message, and then here we're gonna put that which message we want to handle. So I'm gonna copy that one from there. That's the Windows message we want to handle, and here we need to put the name of the function which will be the message handler for that message. So it's that function, and I think now it works. Let's try. Okay, let's see my luck now. Go here. Yes, so now it works all. So yeah, so there are two ways to do this. I leave this version here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is that we want to start now making the search, the find dialog working really. That we want to search a certain line, and the first thing we need to do is that we need to go to that. So here is when we press that button, the find next button. I will show it from the dialog. So when I go here and I type something here, so when I press this find next, it will go to here. This is the message handler for that function. Okay, so here we need to do the action. What we need to do is that we need to first take the text from the text box, and then we need to somehow send it to the view. Okay, so the update data again works nicely. It will update the data such that that this find what will now contain the correct text. It will contain the current text in what is in the text editor. So now we need to create some kind of function in the view to handle that. I will create a function called find next. It needs to be in a public section because this dialog is calling it. I'm gonna put it here. Void find next occurrence of that string. So the first parameter we are taking in this function will be the string we want to find. What to find? To find what? How about that? And then now there are two buttons. Are we searching downwards or upwards? Upwards. So that's why I'm gonna put the boolean value here that it says that are we going down or not. So if this is true, we are going down. We are searching downwards. If it's false, we are searching upwards. And now it can't find that string. I think it's because string is missing from here. And let's create the implementation. Implementation goes maybe here. Okay, so there it goes. Now it goes here. First of all, we need to get access to the document because the document contains all the text. So again, I need to do this one to get access to the document. I'm gonna copy and paste it here like before. Okay, so we're gonna need a couple of variables here to find the text. The logic I'm gonna create here is the following. I have this picture here. I have this picture here about this, and so the way this kind of works here is that so this is what we are aiming to draw here. Oh, that's too thin. We are aiming to draw that red box here. So when we type ha and we press find, it should put that red dot on this line, on this section here, on this row, I would say. So we're gonna have some space. It doesn't start immediately from there, so there's a little bit space from the left, a little bit space from the top, and so on. And we don't want to draw it. This is the margin. This is a margin from the last video. So we don't want to draw this all the way to the margin. So I'm gonna take like a half of this margin. That the end of the red box will be about half of the margin. So there's gonna be some offsets here. How we're gonna draw it, and then we also have the height of the red box. The other thing here to in this how I do this is that I'm gonna have so-called cursor here, cursor, and so if the cursor is, for example, here, it will be 0. This would be 1, and so on, 2, and so on. When we start the process, the cursor is actually -1. The reason being that because when we call find next function, it will first it doesn't search from the current location. It starts the search from the next location. So we start from the -1, which is one above that. So when we call the find next function, it will go and start from the first line, which is 0, and then it starts going downwards. The same logic applies to the end section. That if we are here, if we want to start the search from this line, when we have the up pressed, that means that we need to first put the cursor here. Cursor needs to be this one +1, and the next place will be, so we need to move the cursor now upwards one step. So this needs to be cursor -1. Cursor -1 will be now here, and that will be the first line to do the search. And then if we have this up on, and we press find next again, then we do -1 again, -1, and goes there. And then we are checking this text here, because these texts are in a vector. So this is how it works, the indexing. Okay, in order to do that, I will be creating this direction thing. I call it next cursor move. So the next cursor move will be 1, +1 or -1, depending are we going down or up. That's why I will put here the rule that if we are going down, it will be +1, otherwise it will be -1. So that will be the next move, +1 or -1. And then I'm gonna do the same thing what I did here, that I'm gonna create the shortcut for the lines, because I don't want to use this long sentence to refer to the lines. I'm gonna create a shortcut to the lines. This. And now where the search starts, that's the next question. Where does the search start? As I was drawing in this image, we need to have this kind of cursor variable. So I'm gonna create that cursor variable next. And that will be a member variable of the view in a private section. So int current find cursor. Okay. And let's start from the 0 for now. The rule was that I forgot myself. The rule was that if we start from the top search, we need to put -1, because the next we call find next, it will go to 0, which is the first row we want to do. Okay, so let's now define what is the first index for the search. We will call it first index to search. That will be initialized to be. It will be where the cursor is +1. Oh, sorry, +1 or -1, depending. So this one tells whether it's +1 or -1. Whatever this is, if we're going down, this will be +1. If we're going up, we will be saying current cursor -1. And now we're gonna do the for loop. We're gonna loop. We're gonna find the next line which has this text. So just a normal loop, integer I, and we start from this index which we just calculated here, starting from there. And then the rule is that so the end of the loop will be when the I needs to be less than, we have lines, so the lines size. Okay, so now the thing is that we might be going up or down. This for loop here will be handling up and down movements, both of them. We could create two different loops, one taking care of the down movements and one taking care of the up movements, but the way I'm doing is that I'm just creating one. I think it's more simple like that, so that's why this for loop is able to do both ways. So if we are going downwards, we just need to make sure that when we are hitting this last line, we need to stop the search after that. And if we are going upwards, then when we hit the 0 index here, the first one, we can't go any more up, obviously, there, and we need to stop the search. So that's why I'm gonna put here the rule that I needs to be always less than the size of the lines, number of the lines, and I also needs to be greater or equal than 0, that we don't go to minus section. And then we're gonna say, now this is interesting, that what is the next increase of the I? The I will be increased by this one, because this is the amount we need to move to down or up. So this I will be go up or down this amount, which is -1 or 1. So okay, so let's say that we start from 0. So this is the vector containing all the lines. So the lines I contains the current line. So now we can search for the text from the current line. So I'm gonna just place that one here. Okay, so there's a function in, this is the current string line. So we are looking for that substring from there. And I can actually put a reference there. and we also put the reference there. We take it by reference. So if we find that substring from that current line, then we found it. So auto found position. Now this find will return the found position if it found it, the substring. If it doesn't find, there is a test for that, and the test is found pos equals to std string and pos. So if we do not find this substring from this current line, this find function returns npos. But if it found it, it will return the position of that position, the index position where it found it from that line. Okay, so if we found it, in that case we can update the current cursor to be the current index, because this is the index where we found it. So now we're gonna just update that. Where did we find it? We found it from there. And we can do break here. We can break the for loop because we already found that substring. So now we can break the for loop. I don't really recommend to use breaks in for loops normally, but because this is so short for loop, breaking from the middle is not a good idea normally. But in this case I will think, because there's nothing here below and this is very short section here, so in this case I will do break here. So we're breaking the for loop. We look at this one. So let's do search and continue searching as. So we found from there, and now if I press one more time, we can't find. So now we need to print this dialog box like the normal Notepad does, that cannot find. Hey, we cannot find this text. Then at the end of the loop, we will need to make that the message box. So that's why we need one more variable here. Bool found. Did we find it? And by default we set this that we did not find it, and we only set it that we found it if we come here. So true here. So after the for loop, if we did not find it, if we did not find it, then we will print that message box. We will show that message box, I would say. And that will be message. And then we do the formatting of the message. We can put here that cannot find. And then the items like that, and then here we're gonna put the placeholder for the string, and here is gonna be the string what we want to print. Oh, there's something missing here, so one more. Yes. So now we can show that message there. So we can't find this one, but this is a standard library string, and this is looking for MFC string, so we need to convert it again to C string. We are converting it to C string because it's expecting a C string, and now we just can call we can call that AFX message box, and this is the message. So now here we can tell that what kind of icon we want to show. From the documentation of this this function, from Windows documentation, we can see all the options, and in this case we want icon information like that. And what is it complaining? I think I had that in the wrong place, and this should be, it should be like that, yes. So this is pretty interesting now. So we could test. We are not drawing that red rectangle yet because I didn't make the drawing code yet, but we can actually probably test this now. It should work such that if it doesn't find the text, we should get this message at least. Okay, it all compiles. So let's see if it works. So I'm gonna open one of the small files, this one, and then gonna go to here, and let's now look for something like XXX. It should not find that. Downwards. Aha, it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because I'm not calling this function from the dialog, so it's the call is missing from here. So I need to say that parent and find next. And then we need to be looking for that. So this is what we want to find. So I need to pass it as a first parameter. And the second parameter is that do we want to go downward? Do we want to search down or up? This string, that what are we finding? It doesn't like it because the find next is looking for standard library string, but this is a MFC string, so we need to do the conversion here. Do to std string. So it can't find it because I didn't include that globals here. Like that. How about now? Yeah, now it works. And the second parameter is that it's the direction. Now the direction is in this one. This is the variable holding the direction. If the direction is 0, we want to go up, and if it's 1, we want to go down. By the way, the default value, I think better go down, so I put it 1 by default. So now we can. So this one is better be 1, so we go downwards. Now the trick here, that how do we pass here the information, are we going down or up? I'm just gonna say here that if it's 1, this is 1, then we are going down, so this becomes true. If the direction is 1, this is true, and then this is true, so that means that we are going down. Okay. Now the next thing here is that we need to start drawing that red rectangle which shows that where did we found it. Before we do that one, there's one thing here, that because we want to draw that red rectangle immediately after this, so I'm gonna call here invalidate. It invalidates the whole screen, makes it like a dirty, so to speak. The whole screen needs repainting, that's what this means. And then update window, commands window to draw whatever needs to drawing. So this tells that everything needs drawing, and this tells that draw that everything. So this will draw now the red rectangle, but we haven't implemented that yet, so let's implement that next. To draw that red rectangle, we need to go to the onDraw function, and in this for loop, when we are looping each line, we just need to draw it on the correct line, and the correct line will be when the eye hits that current find cursor, because the cursor tells that on which line we should draw it. and it's the index of that line. So we just need to compare that against that I, that if I equals current find cursor, that means that on that line we found that text. Just need to draw the rectangle, so that one, and we can use a function called fill solid rect. And the first parameter will be the position of where we want to draw. Well, the x-coordinate we want to draw like a little bit to the if we look at this, we want to draw a little bit to the right, so 3 pixels to the right, and this will be now the y position. Looking at the picture, so this will be the y position, which is here. So it's this next y is actually the y position, because we keep increasing that after each line. This next y, so next y will be the y position, but we don't want to start immediately from the top. We want to put a little bit of space, so that's what I'm going to say +3 again. And now we need to put, as we can see from the tooltip, we need the length of the width of the rectangle. So what we can do here is that we can take, this is the margin is this one, so I'm gonna take the width to be half of the margin. So where's the margin? Here's the margin, left margin, so it will be left margin divided by 2, and then this will be the height of the rectangle. I just put 5 pixels, and then the second parameter will be the color of the rectangle. So RGB macro can be used to set the color. So 255 red, 0 green, and 0 blue. So this is a red. This means red. If we want green, we will put obviously here 255. This will be a green. So this is red. Okay, so that draws it. Just one thing is that if we look at the documentation of this one also changes permanently the text background color. So this is not good at the moment because we are drawing text after that. So this will change the background of this text to red. It's just how this function works. So we need to copy the old background color, and after we use this one, we change the background color to red. We need to put the background color of the context back to the old one. Otherwise it stays red and this text would have a red background. So that's why I'm going to copy the old background color first. Before that, old background color. The way to get the background color is get background color. So this is now the current background color. Then we are changing the background color to red, and now we want to put back the old background color, whatever it was. Obviously it will be set background color. Set background color back to the what it used to be. Whatever it was, we don't know what it is, but whatever it was. Okay, this might actually now work. It is quite interesting. If I did everything correctly, this might now work. If we do an update there, and yeah, let's try now. Okay, I'm opening the file, and let's do find. So there's no red thing here. That's correct. So I'm now going to say here. So they cannot find this wrong. But anyway, the red circle is there correctly there, so that one at least works. So let's go and see why we got wrongly that message box. Oh, the reason is simple. It's because this is wrong. It will be if we did not find that string, then we need to print that message. Running one more time. Let's try again. Find box, and let's search for this now. This. Okay, now we didn't get that box, so that was fixed. And now we should get yeah, that works. And now we should get the message box. Yeah, working correctly. Let's try upwards. Up. Next. Yeah. Good, good, good. It seems all work now. Let's just finally let's do these things, because we want to have some nice functionality here. That if we press this move to start, we want this red cursor go at the top, so we start from the first line. Actually, like I drew before, we want to go actually -1, so that the first search starts from the first line. And if we press this one, then we want to go one below the last line here, so that when we press up from here, it will start the search from the from the last line. So let's do that one. Now in programming, it's good to have functions to define certain things. Like here, for example, it's good to define this one like inside the function, and the end also inside the function, so that we don't need to use the -1 and +1, because it's a little bit dangerous to put -1, because we don't remember was it -1 or -2. So that's why I'm gonna create two helper functions here. The first one is int cursor start, which tells that what is the value for the start cursor index, and then the other one is the cursor end, which returns the end cursor value. And then the implementation goes here. Okay, so the cursor to be at the start, at the very start, we need to return -1. That was the -1, and cursor being at the end will be the number of the lines will be the one. Like if we have, for example, these 4 lines here, it will be 4, because 4 is after this. The index of this one is 3. So 4 will be after that. So it needs to be the size of the line, how many lines we have. So return the number of the lines. So we need to call the document now to get the number of the lines. And then from there we can call that get lines. So it's return get lines and size of that vector. It's the size of the vector, that how many lines that vector has. And now just one more thing, because this returns a unsigned integer, so the compiler doesn't necessarily like that. So let's just convert it to integer, static int. So now it's an integer instead. That's fine. Static int. Sorry, static cast. Sorry, static. We are casting it. So now we have these two functions, and so next thing we want to do is that we want to when we press on the dialog box, let's go to dialog box now. So move the star. So this is the function we want to use first. We want to move the cursor to the beginning. So now here we need to contact the view again. So I'm just copying that line from there and checking that if the parent exists, then we can just call a function to now we need to create a function to move to the start. So I will create, in the public section, we need to create a function which is called void move cursor to start. And I think we need another function, move cursor to the end also. So that's why I'm going to create it here straight away. Move cursor to the end. I'm going to copy these and implement them here. And this one also. So we want to call this function from here first of all. Like that. Now it's called. Now it comes here. Now moving the cursor to the start will be just a matter of setting this current cursor to have the value of the start cursor. So we're just calling that function there. Okay, so it basically becomes -1 now, cursor start. And if we are going to the end, now at the end we need to, I think we need to check that do we have any lines. So we need to check here that if document get lines, is it empty? So we're asking, is it empty or not? If it's not empty, then we're gonna move it to the end, because it doesn't really make sense to move it to the end if there are no lines. That's why I'm checking it here. And then we just gonna assign the cursor end value there. And now we need to update the window because the cursor position changed. That's why we need to redraw the window. So I'm gonna do this here. So let's now check that if this all works. Oh, before we do that, I forgot to, there's an error. Function must return value. Okay, cursor end. Yeah, this is an interesting question. If it doesn't find the document, what are we gonna return? Well, I'm just gonna return something. Maybe the cursor start. That's a kind of error. If the document doesn't exist, I mean, that's a big problem here. Anyway, this should do the job. Let's compile. Okay, it compiles. Just one more thing that I didn't do the end. So the same thing with the move to the end. I'm just gonna copy this code and paste it there. And instead of moving start, I want to move to the end. So if I did everything correctly, now the cursor should update its position to end or start when we are pressing those buttons. And let's see how carefully I made this code. Opening document, and let's say this going down one more time, and now I'm pressing that button to move to start. Okay, and it's probably now here at the beginning, and if I press again down, yeps, it works. So it started to search again from the top and going to down. And let's go now up. Oh, I pressed the star, sorry. So let's go down again, and now I'm going up. So I will now press move to the end. Okay, so now it should be here, the cursor, one after this line. So now if I search up, we should go this line to this line. And there it goes. So it all works. So these are moving the cursor up and to the end and to the beginning. So I think this video is already quite long, so I will end this video now here, but there will be just one small thing left, that we would like to update this button correspondingly. So if I press this move to start, we want to now disable this button, so make it gray, because we can't anymore press that button. So that's a good exercise I would like to do in the next video, that correspondingly, if we now go here and I press move to the end, because we are at the end already, so this will be disabled and it will be grayed out. So that's the last thing left, which should not take that long, and then all of this is finished. So thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye bye.